Hello and welcome back to another entry into our buy and signing series. Today we're going to look at a younger Italian talent who we are looking at for the center forward and striker position, which is a desperate need of ours. I'll be looking at Gianluca Scamacca today, who I believe right now is valued on Transfer Market's website at around 30 million, which I think is more of a fair value. However, it seems like Sassuolo may want to try to get somewhere around 40. We're looking at him for AC Milan. I believe he's also looking towards Inter Milan as well, so those are the two most likely teams to get him. However, things may change significantly in the coming months, especially as AC Milan starts to look at other targets due to the influx of cash that they may get from InvestCorp, which is looking like they're probably going to take over the team. But still, Scamacca will be one of those targets that will be definitely more attainable than before, because in the past, prior to Elliott being bought out or almost being bought out, he was kind of at the very top of the budget. 30 to 40 million for a striker seems like, all right, that's like we're really blowing the budget there on one to two people and that's it. But now with the increase in investment, we have even tossed around names like Darwin Nunez, which would be about 70 million. So 30 to 40 seems well within our budget. As far as Scamacca goes, he doesn't really have too many seasons in Serie A. He only has 2 seasons under his belt, so overall there's not much data to pull from. He has, however, shown a significant upward trajectory, and he has looked very, very good this year, and seems like he would fit the bill for us very well, so we will evaluate him. So last year he was loaned out to Genoa, parent club is Sassuolo, and he had 8 goals in 26 games. That's roughly about 1 in 3 games. Essentially, he scores a goal every 1 in 3 games, a little over that actually. This year, however, he has had 13 goals in 32 games so far, which is a little better than 1 in 3 games. It's about one in every 2.7 games, somewhere around there. So he's definitely shown an upward trajectory. He's gotten into the double digits now, pretty solid performance, and he's looked good in most of his matches. There are some games to where he doesn't participate as much as I would like, but he's not a lazy striker. He is quite active, and he is much faster than people give him credit for. He's not your typical tall striker who's also slow. He's actually tall and quite quick and very good with his feet. This is one of the main reasons why I do like Gianluca Scamacca and why he's a very appealing choice for us, is because he's kind of like a younger and poor man's Ibrahimovic, because he's very talented, which is one of Ibrahimovic's biggest strengths, and probably one of the most unique things about Ibra is that he's a huge guy, yet he's very, very talented. It's the same way that like a very short winger would be. He's excellent with his feet, very creative, his mind works fast, and Scamacca is actually a very similar type of player. He sees the play before it happens, he's great at link-up play. He has to get better at a few aspects, but all that raw talent is there. He also has one hell of a powerful shot, very similar to Ibra. So one of the benefits of going for a guy like Scamacca is that he fits the mold of an Ibrahimovic. Somewhat like a Giroud, but more of an Ibrahimovic. And we have Ibra this year, and probably will have him in a bit part next year. So who better to learn from than the guy who you kind of play like anyways? So that's definitely a benefit in trying to go for a guy like Scamacca. He would fit the system perfectly. He would just be younger and learning from probably the best type of player like that, in my opinion, ever around. I can't think of another super tall, agile, mobile striker like Ibra that's ever really played the game. There's been better strikers for sure, but he's up amongst the best there. So what are the things that he's good at? One, has a very good shot. Sometimes it can be a bit wild, but that can be honed in. The raw power and the technique is there. If you watch him play, it's really easy for him to generate power, not because he's some super strong guy. It's because his technique is perfect. Without even trying, he can just flick his foot a certain way, and boom, and the ball just rockets off of it. There are certain players out there who just have that type of technique. He has excellent form, so that's a benefit. 2, other benefit is just he was naturally tall, and that actually does help because he's not gumpy tall, he's just tall and he's actually athletic. 3, he's good at link-up play, and he actually has very good feet, which I mentioned earlier. And then 4, he's actually finally starting to now establish himself as a true striker. Before that, I feel like he was in the mold of a striker, and the last few years he kind of dabbled at it. Now he's actually embracing the role. He's putting himself where he needs to be. His positioning is getting better. That brings us to the things that he needs to work on. 1, positioning. His positioning is generally in the right place, but he needs to start making a little bit smarter runs. He has a very good head on his shoulders, and he's definitely learning, but he's not quite there yet. You can see, however, with working with both Berardi and Raspadori, he's actually been quite instrumental, and he works very well in particular with Berardi, who is quite a smart player. Since Berardi is not, rocket fast, he's very smart, and they work together very well, anticipating runs. So Scamacca is getting better at his runs and his positioning, but he still does need to work on it. The second thing he needs to improve on, and I think that this is the first thing that I would really focus on if I was his coach, you got to work on his hold-up play. He's big and strong, so you got to use it. You can't just be tall in the box and hope the headers come your way. You need to hold up play as well. For example, Dusan Vlahovic is amazing at hold up play. Why? Because he uses his body the right way. That's something that he could learn from Ibrahimovic and Giroud. Giroud is excellent at it, so this is exactly the type of player to bring in for that. That's really the only things he has to work on. I mean, yes, he could work on his finishing touch more, but that will come with time. He's young, he's only 23, and he already has a good finishing touch. He just needs to get a little better to be a top striker. So those are the three main things, but the talent is there. So should we sign Gianluca Scamacca? Typically, I'll give a hard yes or a hard no. I would say this really depends on price. I am very much for Gianluca Scamacca. He's one of my top choices for the striker department. The only one of our links that I like a little better is Darwin Nunez. Of course, he's almost double the price. So I would say for budget, Scamacca is my top choice right now. A lot of people toss around Jonathan David, who I do like a lot, but I would choose Scamacca over David at this point. People may think that's crazy, but he essentially has a similar goal ratio, and people just aren't as excited about a guy like Scamacca because he's in Serie A. That's not as exciting as buying from somewhere else. He's maybe not as flashy. Who knows? But both players are good. I'd be happy with either. My personal preference is getting the guy who's already scoring in Serie A and consistent. Actually, I'm going to do a small comparison here. So Scamacca for Sassuolo overall has scored 13 goals in 37 games. That essentially gives him a 1-3 ratio, just a little bit better than 1-3 ratio this season. But if you look just in Serie A and not the Coppa, he is a little bit even better than that. He's 13 goals in 32 games. So definitely better than a 1 goal every 3 games ratio, probably about mid-twos, like I was saying a little bit earlier. Jonathan David, this year in Liga, 13 and 34. So pretty much the exact same. Scamacca has a slightly better goal ratio there. Plus it's in Serie A. If you look at Jonathan David's overall time at Lille, he has scored 30 goals in 92 games. Once again, a little bit worse than a 1-3 ratio. So very consistent with his performance in the league. So essentially they have a very similar goal scoring ratio, right? The benefit in my opinion is that Scamacca has all of these kind of raw talent potentials there and could be something special in my opinion if honed in right. Now, that's a lot of ifs, I totally get it, but he's already productive and he just fits the type of striker that I think will be dynamite at Milan. I love having a true striker, a tall guy. I know there's something to be said for speed and for being like more of a center forward, but I think that having a Ibrahimovic mold is just going to benefit and lead this team so much better, especially when you have two amazing resources at your disposal. You've got Ibra, you've got Giroud, ready to train this guy. Who would you rather have them train? Somebody like them or somebody not like them? Makes more sense to me to bring in a more similar characteristic. Plus, you probably save around 20 million on Scamacca anyways over David for a similarly producing player. Plus, he's already producing in the league that he will be playing in. So that's my choice here. Now, if somehow we go wild and we end up spending for Darwin Nunez, or we go wild and go get Erling Haaland, well then that sounds great. I'll take that in a heartbeat. However, I think for the budget, the price, and the realism of it, I think Scamacca is by far and away our best choice for striker. And I feel like even though Sassuolo is going to value him at 40, we can probably get him closer to 30, maybe with some bonuses, maybe even a little bit less. So I think that somewhere around 30 will be his fair value, and I think that's what we could end up getting him for, and that seems like a pretty good deal overall to me. So overall, I would think that it is a yes from me, but it does depend on price. Let me know what you guys think. See if Scamacca is a striker that you guys would consider. Also, it's kind of fun to say who would be the ideal target and then who would be the more fiscally responsible target. So for me, ideal would be either Erling Haaland, followed by Darwin Nunez, and of course for the fiscally responsible one, I would definitely choose Scamacca. There's my take. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching, and we have some very crucial games coming up for AC Milan. 4 games to win the title. We're back in the lead. So as always, Forza Milan.